This action item, earlier this evening, the Reinstatement Hearing Committee met to review the application from student 2016-17-1 who was expelled in December of 2016. The committee met with the student and the family and the representatives of the district, and it is their unanimous recommendation that we reinstate this student without any restrictions. So, so you are voting on their recommendation for unconditional reinstatement.
Okay, so now can I have a motion, and then we're going to have discussion?
I'll make a motion to reinstate student number 2016-17-1 for, what did you say, the?
Unconditional.
Unconditional, yeah.
Reinstate.
Okay.
Reinstatement.
Can I have a support?
Support.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, I just wanted to say again, this was a unanimous support decision by the committee that met with teachers, family members, and support and administrators that all agreed that with the history and the background of this student, that it was the choice to reinstate, because at that point in time it was a mandatory expulsion by law, and currently the law has changed and we have other options for students. And this, again, the student had plenty of support, and I am one of the two board members, me and Mr. Estheimer, who were in that committee, and with all the discussion and interview, I'm in support of this reinstatement. Any other discussion? Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Estheimer and a support by Mr. Green. All in favor signify by saying.
We need a roll call.
Okay. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Craig?
Yes.
Mr. Estheimer?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Freitas?
Yes.
Dr. Pomponio?
Yes. Okay, motion passes. Okay, moving on to action item number 2, overnight out-of-state trip request.
You have approved this trip request before. Please note that this is for June of 2019. They are anxious to have this approved so that they can start their fundraising opportunities well in advance of the trip.
Can I ask a question? Yep. Madam President, there was recently a trip that we approved that kind of overlapped with graduation, and now it makes me a little bit of, I didn't look at the calendar before I came, but do we know if this date, that's kind of late, because usually graduation's around the first week of June, so June 20th, we should be safe on, yeah?
This is after graduation.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And I had a question also. Will the students who are in 8th grade currently, and if they go to 9th grade in a language program, will they be allowed to participate?
I believe so, but I cannot, I don't know that for certain.
Okay.
I would imagine yes, but I can't tell you 100%. I don't know what their cutoff date is for when they have to commit and put some kind of a down payment on this.
In reading on the back side, some of the numbers, it's $3,286, and that price reflects a $200 scholarship if they sign up by 10/31/17.
Which is already passed.
We already missed that deadline.
Yeah.
So would that price be $3,486?
This is the information that
I know.
that they provided. I don't
Yep.
know the answer to that.
What a great trip.
Yes.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve this item?
I'll move the approval of a request for 2019 Europe trip for Anderson students enrolled in Spanish and French classes.
Can I have support? Can I have support?
Support?
Okay, any more discussion or questions? Okay, I have a motion, excuse me, by Mr. Craig A support by Mr. Freitas. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Action item number 3, overnight out-of-state trip request.
This is also a trip that you have approved before. Eligible AP Government and AP History students have gone to Philadelphia before, and this is for April of 2018, so this spring coming up.
Okay. Can I have a motion for this item?
I'll move to approve the request for a trip to Philadelphia in April of 2018 for Anderson students enrolled in AP History and AP Government classes.
Can I have a support?
I'll support.
Okay, any discussion?
Teresa, can you provide me at a later date a copy of that action item? I didn't receive that, action item 2. You can- Oh, there we go, thank you.
Okay. I have a motion by Mr. Craig and a second by Mr. Estheimer. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Have fun on that trip. Number 4, can I have a motion for the fall board policy update, or actually, can I have discussion on that first?
These are the fall updates. The policy committee has reviewed these, and just for the sake of the viewing audience, these are updates that come in twice a year. They are typically sent to change or to indicate changes in the law. So all of the policies have been matched to what our current policies were. There are areas where choices had to be made by the board for some of the new policies. So the policy committee has worked with me on this packet. And so if you have questions, I'm happy to go back and answer them. But otherwise, you are voting on this packet as presented, and then this gets forwarded to Neola to do the updates into our policy manual.
Thank you.
Madam President, I make a motion that we accept the fall board policy update.
Okay, do I have a support?
Support.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Action item number 5, can I have a discussion on the bid award for Anderson Auditorium Light and Sound?
And at long last, Mr. Kokoski.
All right, the package here today is for the Anderson Auditorium, excuse me, lighting and sound replacement services. Included in the packet, first thing I want to note is on the award, the total bid award amount is $237,752. I just see on the agenda that it's noted for $222,198. Just want to make sure we're getting the right amount for the total bid award is $237,752, and what that includes is the contract for Sawyer Services, who would be the electrical contractor, is $222,198, and then we're carrying a contingency of $15,554 on the project. So with this project, we had put out formal bid documents, TMP Architecture. Bill's here today if there's any questions on the design, but we put together a design after meeting with the staff of the auditorium to see what we could do to stay within the budget of the bond program that we had set aside for the project. Formal documents were issued on October 19th and bids were received on November 7th. We did go through a post-bid meeting with Sawyer Services. They were the electrician that's done the work on all the previous bid packs out here for the electrical work. So they're very familiar with the district, the building and everything. So they've done work on, I believe, 5 of the 7 bid packs that we've had so far here this year, or the last 2 years. Included with the package that you have, we have the budget summary. So the construction cost, hard construction, we their contract award to be $222,198, as I mentioned. The original budget that was in the bond app was $208,000, so we're a little bit over on the original budget that we had set aside earmarked in the bond program. We carried a 10% contingency in the bond. For the program here, we've knocked that down to 7.5% for the $15,000, just to offset the cost a little bit there. So the overall variance, we're a little bit over budget, but with some of the cost savings and stuff that we've had at Anderson with previous bond programs and stuff, there are still funds available at Anderson for the work. So, I mean, we're comfortable with this. If, you know, if everything comes in under budget and we don't have much for contingency or anything like that, I mean, this project should come in pretty much right on budget, but there are the funds that are available if you approve it here today. Also included in there, we have the bid results. The package involved 2 bid items. So the first item was for the sound and lighting package. We had 2 bidders, Allied Building and Sawyer Services. The next package was bid item 2 was for the stage curtains, and we'll review that here in a minute. But you'll see those results on the bid tab. Then I also included the bid proposal form from Sawyer Services for your reference, and then the post-bid interview checklist that we had with them. So we're comfortable with them. I mean, they know the scope of work, they know the building. They knew the work was coming up beforehand, so they've done their field investigation. They're very familiar with the work, so confident they'll do a good job with the program. They're ready to get started. They'd like to start really next week, but they might get in and do a little bit of work, but as we mentioned, there's some fall program or some programs in December going on in there, so as soon as they can get in there after that, they're gonna get started and are ready to go. So any questions on the package or the bids or anything that came in here?
I have a question about the, Mr. Craig. Sawyer Services, have they done any work downriver at all? Anything close to where we're at?
Yeah, I know they had in the past when we first hired them way back for Bid Pack 1 in 2016. We looked into some of their great to work with. They've worked well with Nate anytime there's been any items or anything, so very comfortable with them.
We're very happy to see Sawyer Services on this.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Thank you.
And we'll be getting their same foreman and main journeyman that's been out here for the last 2 years are earmarked for this project. So, I mean, they're, like I said, they're ready to start tomorrow. We sent them the schedule. They were kind of bummed out a little bit that they couldn't, and they have to kind of wait for a couple weeks, but they are getting ready and have the manpower available.
Oh, good, thank you. Mr. Craig?
So we only had 2 bidders?
Mm-hmm.
How long was it out for?
A little over 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. We had contacted probably on top of the postings and, sending it out, we had sent it directly to probably 7 to 10 electrical contractors. A couple had immediately backed out, they were busy. A couple had said, they were interested, and ultimately we just didn't see pricing from them. It's a tough market right now. It's competitive. There's a lot of work out right now. There's a lot of stuff bidding for next year. So, I mean, I was happy to see Sawyer definitely take a look at it.
And then I see we're paying them $3,000.
that we pick for the services that are needed. It did go out to 26 vendors.
Was it specified that it needed to be completed between like December and February? So if we push this off to the summer, is there a better chance we get a better price, more bidders? I mean, what's the push to get it done by February?
I can answer that. We have failing equipment, and it really limits the ability to do the programming that we have. Summer doesn't help us as much as well, I guess you could get the work done over the summer, but the equipment is in pretty bad shape already. If you've been to a performance there.
Well, I don't doubt it needs to be replaced. I just wonder if we're paying a premium for 3 months of service.
I mean, if you look back on all the bids that we've had in the past with Sawyer, they've been extremely competitive with everything. So I think they've given a fair price. If we waited till summer with the scope of work, you might get less bidders. I mean, there is a lot of work out right now. So I mean, it would be a crapshoot, because there's a lot of people bidding work right now for next year, and, you know, finding manpower, finding companies to do the work. You know, we talked to a few, and a lot of them are earmarked for specific projects that they're kind of waiting for, so. I mean, we feel comfortable with where the numbers came in with the budgets that we had and stuff. I mean, we're doing a complete replacement of the lighting in there, in the stage area. And then we were able to include some sound, which, you know, right now there is really no sound in that area, so we're putting a new sound system in there that they'll be able to expand upon in the future as well, too, so.
And just one other thing, I just wanted to clarify for the amount that's on our agenda, the 222,198, there's an additional 15,000 for the contingency.
That's a mistake that I made. When I looked at the bid, I backed out the contingency amount that needs
Okay.
to be
Yeah,
added
that's
in there.
fine.
So that's my mistake. It's in all the paperwork.
Yeah, okay, thank you, that's all I have. Any other questions from the board? Okay, thank you. Okay. So can I have a motion for action item number 5?
I'll move the award of bid for Anderson Auditorium Light and Sound Package to Sawyer Services in the amount not to exceed $237,752.
Can I have a support?
I support.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to action item number 6, the bid award for Anderson Auditorium stage curtains to North Coast Studio. Mr. Kowski.
Yes, all right, so as I'd mentioned, as part of the package that we'd put out, we had a separate bid item for the stage curtain replacement in there. This is unrelated to the bond program, but it was discussed at previous meetings to have these replaced under the millage fund. So to bid that as one complete package, we had it as a separate bid item. So I packaged everything together for you guys to review. So the recommendation for today, and again, it was the same time frame for bidding. Bids went out on October 19th, received back on November 7th. We did conduct a post-bid interview with with North Coast Studios. Their bid amount was $34,864. The original budget for the project initially was $36,000, so we are under budget for the project. Included the same bid results tab for you guys to see the 2 bids that we had received for that package. And then also their bid proposal and their post-bid interview checklist. So this is to replace all the, I don't recall offhand how many different rows, but basically all the curtains that are out there right now for replacement.
Mr. Craig.
Where's this being funded from?
Millage money.
Is
You
this
approved
coming
this a
from the
while ago.
millage money? Okay. And I see they have a bond as well, but they're under 50,000. So what's the justification for that?
I mean, at this point, basically wanted to incorporate it into the award. I think it would still be reviewed whether we'd have them actually carry the bond or not in their proposal. But as far as for today, just wanted to at least include it in the award for you, and then as we're wrapping up their contract and settling that, then we could decide if we were ultimately bond. I mean, it's just the added protection for the district.
And there's no need for contingency on this project, right? I mean, there's nothing
Not-
you can,
Not that
There's
we
nothing
foresee,
unforeseen
no.
on this,
I mean,
yeah.
if something were to pop up, we'd have to address it,
curtain.
but yeah,
It's
there was,
curtains,
it's a
yeah.
one-for-one replacement. The company that's doing this, I think, has replaced the last 2 sets of curtains, so that's going back, I don't know how many years, but I think they did the
130.
originals. Yeah, the original curtains and then the replacement 30 years ago, or whatever it was, so they have records of all that. So yeah, it should be a one-for-one replacement, so I didn't see a need for any contingency funds.
Okay. Can I have a motion for this item?
I'll make a motion to award the bid for the Anderson Auditorium stage curtains to North Coast Studios in the amount not to exceed $34,864.
Support.
Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Pankowski. Okay, so we're moving on to action item number 7, the approval of the superintendent contract. Can I have some discussion on that?
Do you have anything that you need to add, Mr. Moran?
The contract that you have in front of you, the details on that contract, basically we started with the existing superintendent's contract and just made adjustments as necessary. The Personnel Committee reviewed all of the adjustments and brought this contract as a proposal to the board. I've met with Ms. Pastor. She has verbally agreed that she's okay with this contract. And now it's in the hands of the board.
Okay. And I wanted to just add that we did some lengthy discussion on comparing what the area superintendent costs are and the duties. So we did a lot of investigation on that in the committee. Is there anything you want to add, Andy?
Well, we vetted this contract, sorry, Madam President, we did vet this contract thoroughly with some additions that would meet Ms. Pastor's needs if she agreed to it, which looks like she has at this point. There also, if anybody on the board, I did bring a copy of comparative superintendent salaries if you would like to look at it, but that's up to you. Otherwise, I'm good with this contract.
And then another note too, earlier in the year when we had legal opinions and advice on the current contract for the superintendent, we spent a lot of time looking into that too, so we did have legal input. So what we did was we just compared it and we did, a lot of review of other districts and comparative positions. So everything was vetted and legally as well earlier.
We did a comparison study that was shared with the Personnel Committee where we looked at neighboring school districts. We looked at just Wayne County, and we compared districts that were within 25% of our enrollment as a measure of responsibility. And we also looked at schools that had superintendents with 2 or less years' experience. And those were the salaries that we looked at as a basis for comparison.
The information that Mr. Moran gave to the Personnel Committee was very similar to the information that you had in March when you reviewed the contract for me.
Mr. Craig?
I was trying to go back through this contract and the current superintendent contract. Are there any sections that were added to this or taken away from that? In trying to go through, I was missing those. If you could point those out to me right now, I'd appreciate it.
The benefits section at the back, we followed the more standard format that we use for other non-represented employees in the district.
This.
The last page of the contract where we have the little X's indicating what benefits she does and doesn't get. It more clearly spelled out the benefits than the current superintendent, Mrs. Creason's contract does.
On my contract, it's a paragraph, and it doesn't refer specifically. Mr. Craig, the form that you're looking at is a form that we now attach to all non-represented contracts that really go,
that's this
yeah,
one
it's
here?
the checklist.
Okay.
So it has a different look to it, but the contents, at least for that part, are not significantly different.
Mr. Craig, the contract in front of you, Ms. Creason's, has the stipend in lieu of insurance. That has been removed.
That's where the X is there.
That's where the X is,
Okay.
to answer your question.
That's what I was missing when I was going back and forth
Okay.
to try and compare.
Mr. Freed, do you want to see that comparison?
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. So can I have a motion on this item, action item 7?
I make a motion that we approve the said superintendent contract for Ms. Pastor for the next 3.5 years.
And I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations. Good luck.
No turning back now, kiddo. Now Jill gets or Jill, now Leslie will tell you the real side of it.
Okay, any employee representatives here? Okay, then moving on to information and announcements from the board. Anything?
I just want to say really fast that Teresa, I apologize. I found that. It was not your mistake, it was mine.
number 2?
Yeah, I found it. You don't make mistakes, and I just want
Oh,
to
no,
make
yes.
that for the record. It was my mistake. and not yours.
That's why I always have backup here.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to say good job to the marching band for the Thanksgiving Day Parade, all your hard work there. And good luck to the band program for the Bandorama this weekend, which is Friday and Saturday. I think, is it Sunday too? Okay. And then also for the Kiwanis, Friday and Saturday, they have a Santa train ride. So if you're interested, you can get out there. And then also for students who are in Student Council or the Junior Honor Society, if you want to help out, they need help with that, if you want to volunteer your time with that. That's all I have. Thank you. We have a closed session.
Yeah, there's nothing on the work agenda. We do need to vote to go into a closed session for the purpose of considering contract negotiations. Once we go into closed session, we will end the video reporting for the meeting for tonight.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to go into closed session?
I'll move to go into closed session for purposes of contract negotiation.
Support.
Can I have a roll call, please?
Just a vote.